Welcome on in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me this lovely, lovely Friday. And I hope that you're all ready for what I hope becomes a regular segment here on Bright Boom Twitch TV. I'm not good at this. It's spoiler alert, it's back! Yay! I'm adjusting to this tiny window I've put myself in. But I'm very excited to talk about this fucking ridiculous movie. Yeah, I'm playing Friday the 21st later. Exactly. Welcome on in, welcome on in. Hello, Strix. Are you saying, so you're ready to fight on behalf of The Last Witch Hunter? Does that mean that you liked The Last Witch Hunter? I need info. I need to know. And hi, Gagey, and hello, Sheep. Hey, Alex, what's up, what's up? No one puts Bright Boom in a box but Bright Boom. It's true. I'm actually gonna, scoot myself over this way a little bit. There we go. That's where I want to be. You liked The Last Witch. Did we watch the same movie, Strix? I'm just kidding. I'll put out a disclaimer here before we even start talking about it, that the views expressed on the Bright Boom channel are the views of Bright Boom and nobody else. So I'm going to talk about how much I did not like this movie, but if you liked this movie, that's perfectly acceptable and okay. You're allowed to like things that you want to like. That is why I picked this movie, Prince, because a lot of people have never heard of it, and it is a wild ride. But welcome on in. How are you? How are you? So about the cactus. What happened, bud? Never has a cactus had such range. It's definitely, it's better than VHS. Nothing will ever be as bad as VHS was. I saw the title and thought you were going to talk about Nicolas Cage's Season of the Witch. No, I don't even know what that is. Oh, got a little fray in my necklace here. So yeah, let me, do I even have I do have the music on this. I'm gonna turn the music down a wee bit to talk about this. And a little bit here as well. There we go. More like The Last Witch Hunter, haha, got him. Good, working on some Nightingale fan art. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Whoa, it highlights it in the chat too? That's fucking cool. I didn't know about that. That's really nifty. Hi, Greg. Welcome on in. How are you? Well, yeah, without further ado, y'all, let's get fucking started. For anyone who is not aware of this movie, I didn't even bring up my fucking notes. I'm a hot mess over here, y'all. Give me just a second. I need my notes. I gotta talk about it. Ooh, that's bright. That's real bright. There we go. All right. That's a lot of points. Oh, you're asking me, is the cactus gonna live this time? It might. I don't know. That's why I didn't want to buy another one. I was concerned about it. All right. And let me get y'all the important things here. My God. Not prepared at all. Next time. I'll do better next time. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm glad y'all are having fun with this highlight my message feature. Okay. So let's talk about The Last Witch Hunter. For anyone who does not know about The Last Witch Hunter. Oh, goodness. Where's my display here? Ta-da! Oh, boy. It is very chrome, yes. The Last Witch Hunter is a Vin Diesel movie. I'm not playing the trailer. I'm gonna give y'all a lot of information about it. Everything but the trailer. You can go check out the trailer on your own time. Look at this man standing on top of a building, I guess, in New York with a flaming sword in the rain. It does look like fan art. There are so many. There's at least 4 or 5 different fucking posters for this movie, and they all look just as ridiculous. There's this one. There's a similar one where he's inside of a building. It's this exact same pose. He's inside of a building, and the sword is not on fire. And then there's another one where he's in this pose, but he looks like a Viking. Oh yeah, Strix, we'll get into that. We'll absolutely get into that. He does look like a sad toddler. So let me talk to you about this movie. We're gonna talk about the production first, and then we'll get into the synopsis. And then I'll talk to you about why this movie's ridiculous. So let's get started. Here's a quick production summary for y'all. The Last Witch Hunter is a 2015 fantasy action film directed by Breck Eisner, best known for Sahara, the Clive Cussler movie that nobody watched, starring Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn and Penelope Cruz, and also The Crazies, which I have never seen, but is apparently some sort of weird horror movie wherein a virus that makes people homicidal infects an entire town. It's got Timothy Olyphant in it. I read the synopsis. Not really my thing. So that's what you've got from the director here. What you have from in this movie is you know what? I was gonna talk to y'all about I'm so not prepared. I'm so sorry. Sword drawn, but still one on his back. That's a really good fucking point. I didn't even notice that. It's the same sword. He's only got the one sword. So they fucked up on the Photoshop. That's hilarious. Oh my god. I didn't even notice that. Thank you for pointing that out. One for killing men and another for killing monsters. He only kills witches. Okay, let me get y'all the the cast list here. Okay. Oh my god. Not prepared. Not prepared at all. The Last Witch Hunter. Alright, so obviously Vin Diesel is our number 1 star here. Number 1. Number 2 here is Rose Leslie, who, let me bring up a picture here. Bring this over here. Ta-da! Rose Leslie, who you may know better as Ygritte, I think, from Game of Thrones. I did not really watch Game of Thrones, but I believe she's the one that tells Jon Snow that he doesn't know anything. So, she is the, co-lead. I don't know what you want to say. Gender neutral witches. Are male witches just called Mitches? I think so, yeah. So her, as well as Elijah Wood and Michael Caine. So those are our 4 like main stars for this movie. Now, this movie, as Strix was saying, kind of feels like fan fiction, and that's because it's based around Vin Diesel's D&D witch hunter character. Literally, he had a conversation with a screenwriter who thought his character sounded cool and that he wanted to make a movie around it, which in and of itself, not a bad idea, okay? D&D is very entertaining. There are some really, really cool stories you can tell based around D&D. However, some things happened that may have prevented this from being a good film. Number 1, the screenwriter who wrote that original screenplay, the one that he thought was really cool based on Vin Diesel's character, was not involved in this project. Someone else was brought in to rewrite the script, and then after that, someone else was brought in to rework that script. So this script got rewritten at least twice, maybe 3 times, which is not a good sign. Also, the initial director was replaced with Breck Eisner, who eventually ended up directing it. So, none of these are good signs. Sometimes people leave for, personal reasons, but I have a feeling that the original director, it was Timur Bekmambetov. He did Day Watch and Night Watch. They're like Russian movies about, I think, vampires. Clearly saw this script and was like, no thank you. No thank you. The CEO of Lionsgate, who was mostly funding this movie, commented that this movie, if successful, could become an entire film franchise. Spoiler alert, it did not. And in addition to Lionsgate, the only other company that stepped up to co-finance this movie was Lakeshore Entertainment, and they left ASAP. Like, as soon as they were like, yeah, we'll co-finance, they were like, oh, never mind. And they left. So again, we are piling on the, oh, that's not a good sign things. Principal photography for this movie was initially delayed due to the death of Paul Walker, R.I.P., because his death delayed the shooting for Furious 7, which was shooting before Vin Diesel needed to do this. So a lot of things just really messed up this film. The only thing better than this would be Last Witch Hunter 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yes, exactly. And also I have one more weird fact, and this has nothing to do with anything. I just thought it was funny. There's a song that plays over the end credits, and it is Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones, but it's not sung by the Rolling Stones. They paid Ciara, the R&B singer, to cover Paint It Black, just for the credits. Just for the credits. It's a very weird choice. Are those cargo pants? They kind of look like it, huh? With like weird front pockets. I don't know. So if you want to know just how unsuccessful this movie was, surprisingly, not as unsuccessful as I thought it was going to be. For the box office, the budget for Last Witch Hunter was about $90 million. In North America, it grossed $27.4 million, which is a flop. However, if you total up the worldwide box office, it was $140 million. So, still not what people would call successful, but not the worst flop. It did make money, just not in America. Yeah, it's to store his additional swords. Yes. Okay. So the critical response for this film, it generally received unfavorable reviews from critics, and currently has a score of 18% from critics and 43% from the audience on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not a good score. It's not. The cover is orange and blue. How could it flop, right? Everybody's orange and blue. All right. So that's the general production synopsis for y'all on why this movie probably didn't go so well. There were a lot of steps where a lot of things got fumbled, and it just doesn't seem like people put a lot of thought or effort into this project. Now I'm going to give you the plot synopsis, and I tried to cut this down. I grabbed it from Wikipedia, and I tried to cut it down as much as I could, but you just, like, there's so much, like, little shit in this movie that you have to include it all for a big picture. So, get ready. His shoulders, his whole body is wet. He's in the rain. All right, so 800 years ago, the Witch Queen unleashed the Black Plague to wipe out humanity. A band of knights, including the widowed Calder, and that's spelled Kaulder, which is Vin Diesel. This is Calder here. He's widowed. He lost his wife and his child in the Black Plague, and he and a bunch of knights are really upset about it, so they go to kill this Witch Queen. They storm her lair, they defeat her, and right before dying, she curses Calder with eternal life. So he's gonna live forever now. Smash cut to present day. Like, I guess 2015, because that's when this movie came out. In the present day, Calder prevents a teenage witch, not Sabrina. Just want that clear, not Sabrina. From unintentionally destroying an airplane with weather-controlling runes. Keep those in mind, because those are going to come back later. That's a full-on MacGuffin. Calder's revealed to be working as a witch hunter for an organization called the Axe and Cross, which aims to keep the truce between humans and witches and either executes or imprisons the witches who break the law. He's aided by a priest called Dolan. The 36th Dolan is Michael Caine. And he tells Calder that he's retiring from his duties and he's chosen a new Dolan for him. But he dies in his sleep that night, which definitely is not suspicious at all. Calder and the new Dolan, the 37th Dolan, which is Elijah Wood, figure out that Michael Caine was definitely murdered by a witch. While they track him down, Calder finds traces of old dark magic. And it's revealed that Michael Caine is not actually dead, but under a dark magic spell that can only be broken if the witch that cast it is killed. So, using clues that Michael Caine left behind, Vin Diesel goes to a witch bar. Yes, you heard that right, folks! A witch bar. Owned by Rose Leslie, to buy a memory spell to help him remember how he died and came back. Because that's what Michael Caine told him to do. We found a witch, maybe burn her. It's funny, we're gonna talk about that. It sounds kick-ass, okay, Strix? It sounds kick-ass, but in reality, it's not. It's very much not. So, during the process of reliving his memory, the bar is attacked by Belial, the witch who's the one who fucked up Michael Caine. They get in a kerfuffle, the guy escapes, the bar burns down, and later, Belial goes to attack Rose Leslie at her apartment. But Calder just happens to be there, and he saves her. She agrees to help him get what he needs so that he can do the memory spell and also kill Belial. Movie night when? So to get the rare ingredient to create another memory spell, they visit another witch. However, this other witch casts an endless memory spell on Calder, planning to entrap him in his dream forever. Chloe is revealed to be a dream walker. She enters his trance, frees his mind, and the pair escape. Calder asks Chloe to enter his mind and pull out the memory. Because it turns out, because she's a dream walker, they don't need the fancy special ingredient anymore. Very convenient. So he discovers that though the queen's body burned to ash in the past, that the first Dolan chose to spare her heart, because if the heart this was way back when he died, but was cursed to live forever. They tried to destroy the heart, but he would die if they destroyed the heart, so they didn't destroy it. They kept it so that he would be alive and could hunt witches. So they figure out that Michael Caine was attacked because he knew where the heart was hidden, and he was tortured into revealing its location. So obviously these people want to revive the queen. Sort of, yeah, like a lich. So Calder goes to face Belial, to prevent the queen from returning. He kills Belial, but the queen does re-enter the world. And she steals Calder's immortality, basically telling him, like, I gave you immortality so that I could take it back someday. So she steals it, he's now mortal. And the members of the Witch Council who guard the witch's prison are killed. The queen plans to release another plague curse using the imprisoned witches as a magical power source. Using her dream-walking ability, Rose Leslie kills one of the prisoners, severing the connection of the queen. Calder fights the queen, he's about to kill her, and then suddenly, oh my god, what is this? What a twist! Elijah Wood's evil. So he shoots Calder and asks the queen to give him magical power. She kills him, because she's a dick, and uses Rose Leslie to complete the connection for the plague curse to form again. So a bunch of fucking disgusting flies just go out into New York City. And so, let's see. Calder summons lightning to his sword using the weather runes. I told you, MacGuffin from earlier. And he throws his sword into the queen, just literally eats it like a javelin, and basically burns her to ash again. Then he grabs her heart and he's about to stab it so that this whole thing can be over. But Rose Leslie dissuades him, stating that there were things in the darkness worse than the Witch Queen that he needs to continue fighting. Really terrible sequel setup. And so the end of the movie is Michael Caine, who has now recovered from the curse because Belial is dead, agrees to delay his retirement and stay by Calder's side, and Chloe decides to help him as well, and the three of them form a new team, free from the axe and the cross, and it's revealed that the Queen's heart is now in Calder's weapon stash in his apartment. So there you go. Now I know that sounds cool, and some of it was, but I can't express how bad this movie is. I'm gonna try. Let's talk about this movie. It sounds great. It's the biggest thing that I can say about this movie is it was a really great idea, but it just wasn't like what is it called? The execution was bad. Very high charisma stat. He does not have a very high charisma stat, and that's part of the problem. So, when Strix said that this movie is like fan fiction, she's not wrong. Now, I don't know if any of you know the term Mary Sue. It's a term used in fan fiction for someone who's like really just perfect, like usually a self-insert, someone who has no flaws whatsoever, who is just perfect and everything they do is perfect, and that's how this movie feels. And I don't know whose idea that was. I don't know if that was Vin Diesel, who wanted his D&D character to be like perfect and amazing, or if that was the writers just being like, well, this guy's gotta be a badass, and then taking it way too far. But like, not really. He plays a certain type of like gruff character, and that doesn't really work for this movie. Like, which is weird because it's supposed to be his character, but it doesn't work. What's the dude version of a Mary Sue? I don't know. We've talked about this before, and I can't remember what we came up with. Gary Sue. But basically, he's given immortality at the beginning of this movie, and so there's never any tension or stakes when he's in fights with people. He always wins almost immediately. And up until the last 10 minutes of the movie where he actually loses his immortality, there's no tension. Like, he gets in fights, and at one point when he's stuck in that like endless dream, and Rose Leslie, she literally says, "You need to wake up or we're both going to die." And I'm like, no, you're gonna die. He's not gonna die. He's immortal. Like, he can't die, and that's so fucking frustrating. And also, it's really not clear if he can feel pain or not. There's two sequences, one where he gets stabbed in the hand and one where he has to break his hand to get out of handcuffs, where it's not clear if he's just like grunting out of exertion or if he's grunting out of pain. So I don't know. And there's also like some unexplained superhuman strength that happens later. There's this giant sentinel thing that's being controlled by a weird little metal bug that they have a confrontation with at the end of the movie, and he just like grabs the metal thing out of this giant sentinel and squishes this metal bug like it's no big deal. But he doesn't have a family, they're all dead. His wife and his daughter died at the beginning of the movie 800 years ago, and he's still hung up on it. Hey, Death Before Decaf, welcome on in. Yeah, zero stakes. And that's why this movie is so frustrating, is because he is a Mary Sue. Because he is super OP, it doesn't make sense. Not even a dog, sorry. Yes, Immortal is not invulnerable, but like I said, it's not clear if he feels pain or not. I don't know. It's the family he found along the way. Oh, welcome on in, Sparkle. So it translates to the rest of the movie like they've tried to make him into like an action hero. Like, he knows every single possible outcome of a situation. There's a point, the first part where Rose Leslie's character puts him under for the dream spell. He's supposed to eat this cherry that she injects with magic. He puts it in his mouth and he pretends to fall asleep because he knows she's gonna fuck with him. Because he just knows she's gonna fuck with him when he's asleep. And so she tries to take a selfie with him, and he's like, surprise! And she's like, oh my god! And he's like, be nice, and then actually swallows it. And like, that's something that happens regularly in this movie, is that he will know that someone's gonna do something to him, unless it serves the plot. There's 2 points where he gets caught in a trap. One where he gets stabbed because he thinks a little girl is in trouble, but it turns out to be a witch. And another time when he gets trapped in this endless dream. And it's like, he's walking into a lair of witches in this second one. So he should know something fucky's gonna happen. But instead, he gets caught in a trap because it serves the plot. And it doesn't even serve the plot that long. Literally, that scene only exists so that he can find out that Rose Leslie's character is a dreamwalker. He escapes that problem in less than a minute. He's in the dream world, Rose Leslie wakes him up, and then he beats everybody up. I had to highlight my message before, but it shows up as like sparkly in the chat box down here. That's what we found out today. Hey, Stowe, thank you for the lurk. Immortality can work, but only when done right. Like, they're bound by a code, get their immortality removed at the beginning, or the stakes are that the character will lose everything. Exactly. It's not done well in this movie. So yeah, any problems he has are solved very, very quickly, to the point where, like, again, no tension, no stakes. So the final fight itself is ridiculously anticlimactic. There's 2 final fights. One where he fights the Witch Queen by himself, and he's about to kill her, and then Elijah Wood comes out as a traitor, and then one after that where he's like on the verge of death because he's been shot several times by Elijah Wood, and he does this stupid weather runes thing where he yeets the sword into the queen. Both times, this fight is over within a minute. Very short. He does not get hurt except for in between those fights when he gets shot. During the fights, it's no problem. He's ready to go. Done, done, bam. Have a sword. Like, it's just... That's part of the fun of action movies, is like the really cool choreographed sword fights where like maybe you get hit a couple of times and you're like, and like this is the perfect time to do it. The final fight, because he's not immortal anymore. You can finally hurt him, you can scratch him up, but like that doesn't happen. Yeah, basically, he just rolled a lot of nat 20s. The other thing that falls flat with this movie is like I said, they've tried to make him into some sort of action hero. And there's this thing that action heroes do, like Ryan Gosling and to a lesser extent Tom Cruise, where they're charming when they do their action hero stuff. So there's like a tiny bit of comedy thrown in, or like a wink, or like what have you. Like I'm into fanfic talk. Welcome on in, Faye. How are you? Yeah, we're talking about this movie, which is basically a fan fiction come to life. But basically, like, they've tried to make him into this really charming action hero, but I'm sorry, Vin Diesel can't pull that off. Like, if you're writing a movie for Vin Diesel and for him to play his D&D character, you need to write to his strengths. And one of his strengths is not being a charming action hero. I'm sorry. There's the point at the beginning of the movie where he's on the plane and he's getting these like weather runes from this teenage witch. He has to sit there and like pull them apart because when they're together, they like form really terrible weather magic. And he's sitting there, there's a small child in front of him, turned around looking at him the whole time he's doing this. And he just winks at this kid, and it does not come off as charming, it comes off as genuinely creepy. And right after this experience, when he's done saving the plane from all this terrible bad weather, the flight attendant tells him, you need to go back to your seat. And he just holds out his hand and introduces himself, like, hey, I'm Calder. And she's like, that's great, Calder, you need to get back to your seat. And he goes, yeah, but I'd like to talk to you about growing up in wherever the fuck she grew up in. How? It is never explained how this man suddenly knows where this woman is from. She asks him, how did you know that? I haven't had an accent in years. And he just goes, I know a lot of people from a lot of places. That's not an answer! It's so ridiculous. And it's never explained. It's just supposed to come off as charming, but it's super creepy. And let me show you what her face looks like when he says, I want to know what it was like growing up in blank. Okay? This woman looks fucking terrified. She's just like, how do you know that? Like, she looks so scared. Then this man knows where she's from. Is terrifying. And the worst part is, the next scene is him in New York City at his apartment, and she's walking out of his apartment as if they've just had sex. And that's supposed to help you believe that this man is charming. He's creepy, and he got this woman in his bed somehow. And it's just, I hate it. I hate it. I know, because I've been following you. Exactly, right? I hated it. It's supposed to be that, and this one was a trope. This is a trope they do in a lot of like action movies to make some guy seem super cool, is that he gets all the girls. Like he's the first scene you see of him, he's like in bed with a woman, or like she's walking out of his apartment. Like they're trying to show you that he's a ladies' man, but I always find it super creepy and I don't like that trope. Yeah, very 007, exactly. He's a witch and he cast a mind spell on her. It seems like that. It's so out of nowhere. It's so weird. And he just, like, the thing is, he can't sell charming or flirty dialogue. I'm sorry, but like, he just can't. He can sell the really gruff, like, action shit, of course. That works for him, but the charming stuff doesn't. So, we'll go back to that. I don't want you to look at her anymore. You don't have to look at her. She's terrified. Is it because his face is dumb? Genuinely, he tries to smile multiple times in this movie, and I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy, that's not your strength. I'm sorry. So the dialogue in and of itself in this movie is not good. It's like typical action movie bullshit where someone's like, be careful, Calder, and he's like, not in the habit. Like, okay. The worst, the absolute worst one is like they try to do jokes, but the jokes don't land. After he gets stuck in a dream and Rose Leslie breaks him out of that dream, he like grabs a necklace off the witch that had like put him in this dream. He opens it up and there's a stone in there. And he throws the stone in a glass of like champagne or something, I don't know. And Rose Leslie's character picks it up, looks at it and goes, do you know what I like about thrift shops? Everything in them is old. She drops the stone, crushes it, and this other witch's like facade falls off, and it turns out she's really old, but she's been using some sort of, I don't know, rock spell to keep herself young. So like, it kind of makes sense in the context of like, okay, you're turning her old, but Rose Leslie had no idea that was the kind of magic this woman was using, and it's such a weird line. Do you know what I like about thrift shops? Everything in them is old. Like, they just took a line about something old? It was, it came off like she was trying to joke, and it did not work at all. I was very confused by it. I went back and watched it a couple times to be like, is this really a thing? How did this guy become a famous actor? I don't know. So that's, yeah. Something that I thought that this movie did pretty well is 90% of the world building. The world building is fantastic. The, like, other witches who have integrated into human society and who are doing things like one of them's running a bakery with, like, weird, like, mind-altering insects. This woman who gets her stone crushed and becomes old is, like, running, like, a modeling, like, agency thing. You know, Rose Leslie herself is running a witch bar. There's just, like, really interesting ways that the witch world intersects with our world, and I wish they would have gone into more detail exploring that, because that's one of the coolest parts of this movie, is the backstory, the world building. But then there's random shit that they don't explain. Like, they never really get into the Axe and the Cross, which is the, like, organization he works for that is, like, helping him fight all these witches. The only information you get about them is, like, that The only information you get is that Michael Caine and Elijah Wood are like part of it and they're helping him. And then at some point, like, Vin Diesel's trying to find Belial, the guy who put the spell on Michael Caine. And Elijah Wood's just suddenly got this big fucking desktop computer and he's like, I got into the FBI database. Let's find him. And then they do, because he's in the FBI database. And then Vin Diesel's like, oh, also, he had some red dirt on his coat. Why don't you analyze this? And Elijah Wood's like, okay. Never analyzes it. It literally never comes up again, the analyzing. The red dirt does. They figure out it's burial dirt later because Rose Leslie's character knows about it. But, like, she was there when he had the piece of the coat. She could have just told him it was burial dirt. But instead he's like, analyze this, and then never fucking happens. Yes, he's a hacker, hackerman. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, analyzing dirt is dumb. It's really stupid. But it's just like, it's never explained how they have access to all this stuff. Hack the Planet! I rewatched that movie the other day. That is a great, terrible movie. If you've never seen Hackers, please go watch it. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of the world building is great, but there's little pieces like that that just don't make sense. And I'll be honest, again, with this axe and the cross thing, the symbol for the axe and the cross looks really bad. It's here on his fancy sword, and like the cross part looks cool, but the axe just looks like somebody threw that in Photoshop later. And it's just weird. And you only see it 2 times. You see it once on his sword, and then you see it once when Elijah Wood's getting it burned into his flesh because he's the new Dolan. It's very weird. So my other like really big complaint, so like the Mary Sue thing is obviously like the main thing that makes this movie annoying and unwatchable. Here, yeah, I can zoom in on this for you. You can take a look at this. There you go. Yeah, it's definitely getting inspo from The Witcher. Except, I mean, maybe the video game, because this came out before the TV series, but, it is a cool sword. It's a really cool sword, and the way that it lights on fire is like some weird metal comes out of it and he lights it on fire. It's a cool fucking sword. Like I said, a lot of stuff about this movie is really cool, but there are a lot of things that need work. So aside from the Mary Sue stuff, the relationship building and the exposition is just god-awful, okay? At one point, they're talking about Salem, the Salem witch trials. This is a point where, like, I think Vin Diesel has known Rose Leslie for, like, less than 24 hours, and she's trying to get him the ingredient he needs to try to do the dream spell again. The memory spell, whatever it is. And they're rooting through her friend's place, trying to find this thing. And essentially... Sorry. They're rooting through her friend's place, trying to find the ingredient for this spell. And she's basically upset with him because he's a witch hunter. And so she's like, nobody even knows anything about witches. You know, blah, 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 Salem witch trials. And basically she eventually goes, I remember thinking, if it was me found guilty in the Salem witch trials, no one would care. And he just goes, I would. Like, he's known this woman for less than 24 hours. All he's done with her at this point is she gave him a dream memory spell. He got yanked out of it. Her bar got lit on fire, so she hates him. And then he saved her from Belial trying to kill her. That's it. That's all they've been through together. And suddenly he's like, I would. And then they find out that her friend is dead, the one that they're trying to get these ingredients from. And she's crying because her friend is dead. And he just reaches out and like tries to comfort her and brings her in. And it feels so awkward because they don't know each other. We have not had the interactions they need to have to get to the point where it makes sense for him to comfort her. Yeah, but she's hot, so she has value. Yeah, they're trying to go for, like, him love at first sight. The only thing They really tried to, like, hammer in a romance subplot with these two. Because, like, earlier in the movie, the only line that kicks off any sort of romance for Vin Diesel is Michael Caine tells him, like, it's been so long, it's been 800 years, you should try to settle down, have a family. Yeah, he lost family, yeah. Friends dying is so hot. It's just really weird, and they keep pushing that with these two. These two hang out for a grand total of 2 days. Granted, they go through a lot of things together, but none of those things make sense for them to be as close as they are by the end of the movie. He, like, brings her, a witch, who he does not know if he can trust or not, because he is a witch hunter. He brings her to the witch council area where they sentence witches to death or to prison, while the witch council isn't there, just to get some backstory out of her. And the backstory is very lacking. Basically, her brother was a dick, she walked into his dreams and hurt him, and then she left her family. And that's it. That's all the backstory you get. That's it. When he finds out later, after she, like, dreamwalks for him, when he finds out that the axe and the cross kept the heart, the witch queen's heart, he's really upset and he feels like he can't trust anybody anymore. That makes total sense. But as he's walking away from her to go confront Belial, he's like, if I can't trust my own people, how the hell can I trust you? Which makes sense because he has not known this person for more than a day and a half. And she grabs his arm and goes, this isn't who you are. You don't know who he is! You just met him yesterday! It's infuriating how much they push this narrative of how close these two people are when everything you've seen up to this point proves that they don't know each other. If I can't trust my family, how can I trust a complete stranger? Exactly. It's just, yeah, they supposedly really, really care about each other by the end of the movie, but there's not enough time spent on any of their interactions with each other, so it just feels awkward and forced. I can tell by your bald head of folds, this isn't who you are. Yeah, it's true. So, yeah, in addition to that, like, you don't really form a connection with any of the characters. Like, you understand that Vin Diesel's supposed to be angry about Michael Caine being cursed because they mention that Michael Caine has been his Dolan for 50 years. But you don't get any of that emotional connection between the two of them. You get one scene with the two of them where Michael Caine is just telling Vin Diesel to settle down and have a family before Michael Caine is cursed and assumed dead. That's it. There's no emotional connection there to the person who you're supposed to care about for the entire movie. And the exposition itself gets spit out so fast that it feels absolutely meaningless. It's ridiculous. Whoever decided Hollywood needs a romantic subplot should be posthumously fired. Yes, I agree. Michael Caine is a gift. He's amazing. But he doesn't get time to shine in this movie, and that's a fucking shame. So the big twist in this movie that I literally never saw coming because they don't set it up at all is Elijah Wood actually being evil. You get 2 sets of exposition with Elijah Wood, and he spouts it off like somebody told him he had to read it out in 30 seconds or less. Like, it doesn't come out well. It's not emotional at all, despite it being about an emotional thing. I will read to you. These are the 2 lines Elijah Wood says about his backstory, okay? At the beginning of the movie, when they are trying to figure out what happened to Michael Caine's character, Elijah Wood goes, I was 5 years old when witches set our house on fire. My parents died, but you walked through the flames, wrapped me in a blanket, and jumped through the 2nd-story window. Your body broke the fall. That's it. That's his whole backstory. Like, he became a Dolan because Vin Diesel saved him, like, 15 years ago or something. Comes out real fast. And then, when he betrays Vin Diesel at the end, he's holding a gun to Rose Leslie's head. And he goes, those witches you rescued me from when I was a kid, they didn't kill my parents. They were my parents. But sadly, I was born without magic. And that last part feels like it's tacked on Because people would have been confused, like, wait, but if his parents were witches, why isn't he a witch? Oh, he was born without magic. Like, that's his whole motivation. His whole motivation for wanting to bring the Witch Queen back is so that she can give him magic, which she doesn't. She kills him because he's human and she hates humans. When will you wear wigs? Hi, Snazzy. Welcome on in. Yeah, so it's just the dialogue is very bad, and the exposition, like I said, it just gets spit out so fast. He does not wear a wig in this movie. No, he's just Elijah Wood. In addition to that exposition and the dialogue coming out way too fast, the acting itself leaves a lot to be desired. It just feels like a lot of the main characters were throwing in the towel here. Like, they were really phoning it in. Vin Diesel is obviously trying his best, and I'm sorry, but that's just not good enough for what was written. They did not write this to his strengths, and that's unfortunate. Elijah Wood seems really wooden, and really just sort of like, why am I doing this? Michael Caine is great, and Rose Leslie is probably the best actor in this film, and that's the problem, is because she's acting and nobody else is. So it seems like she's really overselling it, but she's just doing her job. Nobody else is. It's so frustrating because you want these people to be doing a good job because this is such a really cool concept and it just doesn't come across that way, and it's so disappointing. Question? Answer. What's your question? Who is the Witch Queen, actress-wise? I don't know her. Hold on. She does a pretty decent job. She's not in it for very long. But she does a pretty decent job. Hold on. Her name is Julie Engelbrecht. I don't know her. She's a French actress. But she's in the movie for all of, like, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes? 5 minutes at the beginning before she gets killed and 10 minutes at the end before she gets killed. Why are bad witches in movies always ugly as fuck? Yeah, she's very much got the, like, disgusting, covered in mud and bugs vibe. Why are witches evil in this film? It's just the Witch Queen. Like, the explanation that's given, which, again, is exposition spouted off by Michael Caine in less than a minute, is that, there are just regular, normal witches, like Chloe and, some of the other ones they encounter in the movie are totally normal. It's the ones who like black magic, the ones who want the reign of the Witch Queen to come back, because she brought around the Black Plague. Basically, yeah, those are the bad witches. Those are the ones he goes after, the ones that cause problems. The main character is Elijah Wood. Yeah. I have one more screenshot to show y'all that I just thought was hilarious. So after Vin Diesel finds out about the Witch Queen's heart being saved, he goes to confront Elijah Wood about it, and he makes the funniest angry face I've ever seen in my life. I literally laughed out loud when I saw this. Look at those eyes. Those things are bugging out of his head. Look at that. He's so betrayed. Oh, yeah. That's shocked or scared, not angry. Yeah, it doesn't come across. It doesn't. He's yelling. His yelling is genuinely scary in this scene, and that's why this is so discordant, is because the expression does not match his vocal anger. His vocal anger is great. The face, no. So yeah. Basically, TLDR, this was a really good idea for a movie. It was just very bad execution. The whole movie feels like it can't decide whether to be fantasy or like a run-of-the-mill action movie. The fantasy part is done really well, and I think if they had stuck to the fantasy and treated it more like, okay, yes, it's modern New York, but it's a fantasy, I think it could have been really good. And I think if they had written this character for Vin Diesel, instead of writing a generic action hero, it would have worked. That's why Fast and Furious works. They write the character for Vin Diesel. They don't make him do things he can't do. And I really wish they would have spent more time on the interesting ways that the witches had integrated with the human world and, like, the cool ways that, like, magic happened. They just don't spend enough time on it. So, this could have been a good movie. It just wasn't. I mean, he's great as a voice actor, yeah. The look of a man who just lost a member of his found family, yeah. I'm eating dinner but keep ranting and I'm still defending from the sidelines. I mean, that's basically it. That's what I had. So that was all of it. That's what I think about The Last Witch Hunter. I did not enjoy it. It was funny. Like, I mean, if you want to watch a bad movie, like, it's entertaining enough. Like, there are cool parts. But don't go into it expecting, like, a really cool fantasy movie, because that's just not what it is, unfortunately. Alright, let me take a second here. Oh, I will be playing Friday the 13th soon with some friends. Okay. Cool. It's not getting a sequel, no. Like I said, the CEO of Lionsgate, was insistent that this could become a franchise, and it never did. The Friday the 13th cast is joining us. It's gonna be, the lovely Stoatinator, the real Arabiato, both of whom y'all know if you watched, our Overcooked streams, as well as several of Stoat's friends. Let me get the list here. We've got, Callus Phallus, Heroes Gate, Mr. Dopamine, Post-Robcore, and Triceratops Jr. So, there's something on Google about a sequel. Is it fake? Oh, probably, yeah. Hold on. There's no fucking way. No! Okay. Apparently in 2020, they announced that there might be a sequel in the works at Lionsgate. They said, we're putting a writer on for the next one. Well, hopefully it's a different writer and they don't go through 5 different rewrites. That's fucking hilarious. Well, there you go. If it comes out, I will watch it and review it for y'all. 100%. I wouldn't hold your breath though.